I'm All About Saga, Telltale Gamer, and welcome back to another Transformers Earthspark video. So today, I'm giving you all a video that I've wanted to do for quite a while now, and that is a proper tier list of all episodes of Transformers Earthspark Season 1. So this is a list I found already had been made on Tier Maker, and it's something I'm very excited to see. Now, keep in mind, these this list puts together all of the bundled together, all the two-parter episodes. So that's Secret Legacy Parts 1 and 2, which are episodes 1 and 2, Age Evolution, which is episodes 9 and 10, Home, which is episodes 17 and 18, and The Last Hope, which is episodes 25 and 26. Those episodes are put together for this list, even though I personally like to rate them individually, but for this rate, I'll probably just take the sum of what I think of each episode and put them in their categories. So, these are the categories I've put together for Transformers Earthspark. We have, of course, at the top, a absolute peak, 10 out of 10. These are given to the perfect episodes, the ones that I absolutely love without a shadow of a doubt, and to me, exemplify peak Earthspark content. After that, just under, we have the really good category. The really good category, I'm saving for episodes that I see roughly between an 8 to a 9 out of 10. These are episodes that are really, really good, just shy of being perfect, but just have one or two things that just hold it a little bit back from being peak. Still though, they're very good episodes, and I recommend them to anyone who is a fan of Earthspark. After that, we have the Fun Times category, which these are episodes that I see myself enjoying for the most part. They have a lot more wrong with them than those in the really good category, but they are still episodes I very much enjoy, and I recommend others to watch as well. Fun Time episodes, I'd probably say are anywhere between 7 to about 7.5 to sometimes 8 out of 10. Then there's the All Rights category. These are episodes that, in my opinion, I'm sort of 50-50 on these. That there's pretty much some really good stuff in it, but also a lot of bad stuff in it as well that just I have a problem with at points with it. These episodes will probably be around 7 to 6 out of 10-ish. After that, we have the Has Good Moments category. These are episodes where I feel like overall they're not really the best episodes, but they do have points that I really, really do like, and therefore I find the episode enjoyable to some degree. These episodes are probably going to be like a 5 to a 6 out of 10. And then the not very good category at the very bottom, these are ones that I just didn't really enjoy. If not necessarily saying they're bad episodes, they're just ones that, in my opinion, I didn't enjoy, and they just had stuff really wrong with them that didn't make them good for me, in my opinion. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to be covering them in chronological order. So we're going to be starting here with Secret Legacy Parts 1 and 2. So we have a lot to unpack in these two episodes. These are the series premiere of Earthspark, where we get introduced to the Maltos, Twitch and Thrash, Optimus and Alita, Megatron, Mandroid, everyone really. With Secret Legacy Part 1, I think we get a really good introduction to Robbie, Mo, Dot, Alex, Optimus, and Alita. But Twitch and Thrash don't really get a lot to do in this episode. Part 2, though, they get a lot more to do and is a lot more focused on them. And the big final fight at the end of Part 2, where all the Maltos raid the Mandroid's warehouse to free Twitch and Thrash, is very good and serves as a great introductory battle for Earthspark, and it just a good job of setting everyone up. But I still think there are some problems. Like I said before, episode 1 doesn't really focus on Twitch and Thrash a lot, and I feel like we could have gotten more of Bumblebee, even though episode 3 moving in is more so Bumblebee's proper introduction. We don't really get a lot to see with him in Secret Legacy Parts 1 and 2. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and put Secret Legacy Parts 1 and 2 in the really good category. Definitely a strong start to Earthspark, but it could have been a bit better in my opinion. After that, we're moving on to episode 3, Moving In. This episode essentially serves as Bumblebee's introduction, and basically shows how he starts off very much so a sort of entitled mentor to the Terrans, where he feels training that the Terrans, Twitch and Thrash, as well as Robbie Mo, is beneath him as the best scout and like the real hero of the Autobots. He's like, why do I get stuck with all these kids? And it's a good way to see Bumblebee learn humility and actually learn how to properly mentor the Terrans and become more mature as a result. But there are a few things I have a problem with in this episode. Specifically, the biggest one I have is that throughout the episode until the very end, it seems like the episode tries to paint Bumblebee as the good guy. That him being like, oh, you Terrans can't have fun, you're supposed to be taking your training very seriously. The fact that the show seems to encourage that, oh, Bumblebee's in the right here, he's not doing anything wrong, and that it's the Terrans who are acting immature, I really don't like that, and it sends kind of a harmful message to parents, in my opinion, that I really don't like seeing in kids shows. If there's anything I don't like about kids shows, it's ones that sort of basically teach harmful lessons to the audience. So for that reason, though, it is a good episode, but because that lesson, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the fun times category. It has some sort of noticeable problems in it, but overall it is a good introduction to Bumblebee's character. After that, we move on to House Rules. This is one of the best episodes of Earthspark, in my opinion. This is Thrash's spotlight episode, where he and Mo basically go on a bunch of hijinks with Swindle, and Thrash tries to believe that the rules don't really apply to him and that he should be treated fairly as the rest of his human siblings are. And it's just such a great episode to dive into Thrash's psyche and see how he really acts as a character. This is basically just a huge character study on Thrash, and I absolutely love it for that reason. The only thing I don't like about this episode is the fact that, as I said before in my big review of House Rules, that Mo just goes along with Thrash's hijinks and shenanigans way too easily, in my opinion. The fact that she's like, oh, well, like, if you say so, Thrash, essentially, and just goes along with ignoring Dot's grounded and all that, that just doesn't sit well with me. But it's made up so much by the little ending speech with Thrash has with Mo and Attention before they go off to help Swindle, where of course he gives the famous line,
"If you were missing, I'd break every rule in the world to get you back."
I love that line so much, and for that reason, House Rules is going in the really good category. It's just a little bit held back by Mo's character in this episode, that otherwise it would be peak. Onto that, now we move on to episode 5, Classified. This is an episode I have kind of a big problem with, and it's the fact that the whole episode is that Robbie and Mo fight a lot in this episode because Mo realizes that Robbie's having issues with the nightmares he's been having of Twitch and Thrash getting taken away by Ghost. And while he does confide in Mo by the end of this episode and learns his lesson, throughout the entirety of the episode, essentially, Robbie and Mo just fight constantly, and because of their anger with each other transmitting to Twitch and Thrash, the anger sort of acts as like a power-up to Twitch and Thrash, where when they get stuck in the Ghost training facility, they actually use Robbie and Mo's anger to power themselves up and make it through the training program, which to me is a very, very bad message to send to kids, and the fact that, oh, fighting will like give you the determination to push through problems. Like, no, that's not a good message to send at all. I will say, though, I really did like the side plot with Optimus and Dot in this episode, how Dot questions Optimus as to why he's so keen on working with Ghost, even though it seems like they're kind of, like, pushing it a little too much, and Optimus confides saying that, oh, well, Ghost just is really the only ones who gave us a chance, so I kind of owe it to them to help them out. That is really good scene there with Dot and Optimus, and sort of makes up for this episode. Because of that, I'm kind of debating between putting Classified in the alright category or the has good moments category. All in all, though, I think I'm gonna put it in, I think I'm gonna put it in the has good moments category for now, just because it's one of the weaker episodes of Earthspark in my opinion. But also, at the same time, this, I totally forgot, this episode does introduce us to Agent Schloeder, and his side plot with Alex and Bumblebee, though, is honestly really, really funny as well. So, you know, actually, because of Schloeder's plot with Alex and B, I'm gonna put that in the alright category. It's just that the main plot being focused on Robbie, Mo, Twitch, and Thrash going through the Ghost training program, I do not like that at all. Then, episode 6, Traditions. Okay, this is honestly an episode I really, really enjoy, as it's Alex's spotlight episode, essentially. We get to learn a huge lot of Alex's character in this episode, how his grandfather was big into history, and how that inspired him to become a history teacher. We get to see a lot of Alex's relationship with his children, and how he talks in the Venus episode about where we saw over the past 5 episodes, Alex is a huge Bumblebee fan and sort of invasive on him to that point where he basically is kind of a stalker to B. The way Alex seems to learn from that, where essentially, B tells Alex how he used to do street races on the island in the Philippines, Alex grew up on. Alex is like, oh man, like really? Can you tell me more about that? But then as he's talking, Alex sort of stops himself. He says, oh wait, actually, you know what? We're making today all about my history, not your history. And I like that Alex really learns from that. On top of that, the other plot with Twitch learning how to like spend father time with Wheeljack is really, really cute and funny to watch. And I think Wheeljack's character is honestly really great as well. This is a really good episode, so I'm gonna actually put this, I'm torn between putting this in the fun times or the really good category. You know, I did enjoy it more than Moving In, so I'm gonna put it in the really good category. it's on the tail end. I don't like it as much as Secret Legacy and House Rules, but it is a good episode. Now, episode 7, Friends and Family. Okay, this one, I feel like this one is, it's just kind of a nothing burger episode, really. Sure, we get introduced to Mr. Smelt, who is a very funny side character as the drama teacher at Witwicky Charter School. Having Darren Norris come back to voice him was hilarious. I just feel like the fact that Mr. Smelt only appears in this episode is such a waste of Darren Norris as an actor. Like, you could totally have him do so much more in a show, but have him just play a one-time side character, it seems like a huge waste. And of course, it's cool though, we get to see Robbie and Mo interact with other kids in Witwicky, that we don't really get to see Robbie and Mo have other human friends outside of Stevie in the home. So to see Robbie and Mo make proper human friends is cool, and I hope we actually get to see Robbie and Mo have human friends in season 2. But other than that though, the rest of this episode just feels like a nothing burger. Robbie and Mo are nervous about their first day of school, and therefore Twitch and Thrash are nervous about being away from Robbie and Mo for that long. And then there's the whole plot of Twitch and Thrash just being low on energy and nearly dying because they don't have cave water. I don't know, it really, really didn't appeal to me. So because of that, I feel like this is going to be the first episode that goes in the Has Good Moments category. It has some fun parts, like I said before. Mo and Robbie at the Mr. Smelt's class is very funny, and it's cool to see like where Mo and Thrash is like anxieties transfer to Twitch and Thrash. And also the little story B gives to Robbie and Mo about how Soundwave killed one of his cassettes because he was low on Energon accidentally is so darkly humorous. I can't help but love it, but the rest is just, it's either boring or just doesn't make any sense, and therefore is the weakest episode so far of this list in my opinion. Now on to a really good episode though, episode 8, Decoy. This episode is honestly, while Robbie and Mo and the Terrans are part of this episode is actually really focused on Optimus and Megatron, and it's cool to see an episode that focuses on legacy characters. To have them go in a proper fight against Soundwave and Megatron and Optimus sort of clashing about how they believe Decepticons should be treated by Ghost is really, really cool to see. And have Megatron and Optimus actually have a proper argument, despite the fact that they're working together now, is really cool to see. However, though, at the same time, I feel like RC and Soundwave are misused here, but that's sort of a problem with the whole series, not this episode. I think RC and Soundwave are handled really well in this episode, but the fact that this is the only episode they really get to shine in is a shame. But again, RC and Soundwave do really good in this episode, even getting to see Ravage and Frenzy. This episode's really good as well. And having the Terrans actually battle Soundwave's cassettes in this episode was a fun little mini fight where Optimus, Megatron, and RC and Bumblebee battle Soundwave throughout the rest of the episode. It's a really, really good episode. So because of that, Decoy is going to go in the really good category. The only thing stopping it from being peak is the ending, which is sort of redundant, because when Soundwave frees Ravage to go try and break him out, she never shows up again, so it just kind of makes it pointless in my opinion. And then we move on to the finale of Season 1A with Age of Evolution Parts 1 and 2. So, Age of Evolution Part 1, Episode 9, has arguably, without a doubt, the best fight in Earthspark in my opinion. Maybe one of the best fights in Transformers history. Optimus and Megatron battling Skywarp and Novastorm was so well animated. Of course, everyone loves the one move Megatron does of grabbing Novastorm by the face and then shooting his fusion cannon into the sky so that he crashes into the ground with her, and then he turns himself into basically a giant shuriken, spinning in his alt mode, nearly cutting off one of Skywarp's wings. Oh, it's such a good fight. And then the whole little bit with Twitch and Thrash going with Optimus, Bumblebee, Alex, Robbie, and Mo to the cave to find the Ember Stone and give birth to #Nightshade and Jawbreaker is a really good scene. And then that moves into part 2 where we probably get introduced to all the new Terrans, and then the final fight with Mandroid and his castle mech. It's honestly a very fitting finale for the first batch of Earthspark Season 1. But there are a few things I have a problem with, where I feel like in part 1, the second half of the episode moves a bit too slowly in my opinion. But other than that though, it's a really, really good episode. So again, this is going to go in the really good category. I was a big fan of these episodes. Now we're moving on to batch 2 with episode 11, #Oops. So in my opinion, I feel like #Oops is arguably the weakest episode of batch 1B, but that's not saying it's a bad episode. I just think, again, sort of like Friends and Family, it's kind of a nothing burger episode, but it's also a much more entertaining episode than Friends and Family. Of course, it's the episode where Hashtag gets her ult mode, and it's really focused on her doing a bunch of hijinks in Ghost by accidentally releasing Soundwave and all the other Decepticons momentarily, and then Twitch freaks out on help on trying to save Hashtag and needing Bumblebee for help. But other than that, her plot is kind of redundant in my opinion. The episode mostly focuses on just Hashtag trying to learn how to use her ult mode and Wi-Fi powers, and otherwise though, it's a fun episode, but just not a lot happens in it. So because of that, I'm torn between putting it in either the all rights category or the fun times category. You know, I did enjoy it more than Classified, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in the fun times category for now. Just because I enjoyed it that much. And then episode 12, Outtakes. Okay, so if you've seen my big Earthspark Season 1 review and my review of Outtakes, you know I love this episode. Having Jawbreaker go on his little journey of self-discovery to figure out what his ult mode is, only to realize in the end that he's not ready to pick out his ult mode yet, but when it does happen, he'll know it's the right one, is such an empowering message to people. And actually, the fact that I got actual confirmation from Nicole Dubuck, one of the official executive producers of Earthspark, that this scene of Jawbreaker asking Alita how he feels nothing when looking at cars was intentionally written to be similar to a gay kid stating how that they might feel nothing towards girls, was very, very, it made me feel very, fulfilled that I was right in that Jawbreaker could be portrayed as a gay kid, or even autistic, where Nicole Dubuck, you mentioned that if you want to portray Jawbreaker as having autism, that's totally fine, and we totally support that idea. So, this is absolutely a fantastic episode all around. I think this is going to be the first peak episode. I've come around to it where I don't think I gave like a 9.5, 9.75 out of 10. No, this episode's 10 out of 10. Outtakes is a fantastic episode and is a must-watch if you decide to rewatch Earthspark Season 1. Moving on to that, episode 13, Missed Connection, Nightshade Spotlight episode, where they sort of become a mentorship with Tarantulas, and which he teaches them how the importance in having an ult mode. This episode is really, really good for Nightshade's character. It's so cool to see them interact with Tarantulas, and Alfie Allen is really good as Tarantulas as well. Even this, though, is the only episode he shows up in this season, he's so fleshed out, it really makes him feel like a good character compared to RC and Soundwave, who really didn't get much time in Decoy. However, I really feel like the conflict in this episode is very, very forced, where Tarantulas feels the need to kidnap Dot and Alex because he believes they're keeping Nightshade against their own will. It feels very forced because the only reason why this conflict comes around is because when Tarantulas offers Nightshade the choice to go ahead and stay with him and become his assistant, while Nightshade is flattered by the offer, they say that they can't because they have other arrangements or prior arrangements, something along those lines. And why wouldn't they just tell him that, oh, well, I've got my own family already, like, I would love to work more with you, but I can't just abandon my family, I really hope you understand. The fact that they just say, oh, I've got prior arrangements, and then when Tarantulas follows Nightshade back to their home, and he overhears Dot and Alex talking in a way that makes it seem like they're gonna kill Nightshade, it just feels very, very forced for that reason. So because of that, I'm gonna put Missed Connection in the Fun Times category. It's a really good episode, but the fact that the conflict between Nightshade and Tarantulas at the end of this episode, it feels very, very forced, and that keeps it from being out of the really good category. And then Security Protocols. I don't think I need to say it as much. This is just going in peak. Absolutely peak for Security Protocols. One of my top 2 favorite episodes in Transformers Earthspark. Just because Bumblebee and Breakdown's relationship in this episode is fantastic. I am such a big Breakbee shipper, and this adds so much fuel to it. The ending scene with Bumblebee and Breakdown trying to escape from Ghost and then Breakdown sacrificing himself so that Bee can escape is so good. Also, the side plot with Twitch and Thrash having an argument and Twitch blowing up on Thrash, thinking that he and the other Terrans aren't taking their training seriously, and then Twitch just absolutely breaking down and crying upon realizing that Bumblebee has to go on the run. It's such a good episode, and it's easily the best single episode, I'd argue, of Earthspark, in my opinion. Absolutely amazing. Onto that, we have episode 15, Bare Necessities. Now, I know a lot of people might say that, oh, this episode's bad because it's just filler. It's just Cocaine Bear, but with Transformers, so it's Energon Bear. I honestly think this is a hilarious episode, and it's probably the best filler episode I've ever seen in, like, recent cartoons. Just because it's such a bizarre out there plot of the Terrans dealing with an Energon souped up bear is so stupid and hilarious. I just can't help but love it. And it's so cool just to see all these characters battle, especially when the bear goes full like parasite mode at the end and Dot has to like use her prosthetic leg like a Mega Buster to kill the bear parasite. Oh, it's just so good. And then of course it gives us the lovely ending dancing Terran meme of all the Terrans and Malto children dancing, even Robbie flossing. It's so funny. Honestly, I think I'm gonna put this in the fun times category just because I think putting it on the same level as House Rules and Traditions and like Decoy, like series episodes, is a little bit of a disservice. I think I'm just putting it in the fun times category, but if I would, I'd probably put it in the really good category. After I move on to episode 16, Warzone. This is a very good episode as well, because while the Terrans are a big part of this episode, and it sort of acts as sort of a second Thrash spotlight episode, this is really a Megatron spotlight episode, and I think it really does a great job of showing his remorse in his actions as leaders of the Decepticons. How he teaches all the Terrans to be better than him and the rest of the Autobots and Decepticons is a very empowering message. And then I think Shockwave is a great villain in this episode as well. Troy Baker did a great job as him, and how he sort of looks down on the Terrans as like these disgusting hybrids of human and Cybertronian DNA. It fits like other Shockwaves so well. The only problem I have is the fact that just the whole ending, the whole like cut scene of Starscream and Soundwave using Ravage to free Shockwave being cut, that takes down the episode a lot. And also I just feel like the Terrans don't get enough to do in this episode save for Mo and Thrash. Sure, maybe Nightshade gets a lot to do as well, but hashtag Twitch and Jawbreaker are frozen for half the episode, and because of that, I feel like I'm not sure if I'm gonna put in the fun times category or in the really good category. I think I'm gonna put it in the really good category, because it definitely is. I definitely enjoyed it more than Misconnection, hashtag Oops, and Moving In, but it's not peak quality like Outtakes and Security Protocols. Then Home Parts 1 and 2. Okay, this is kind of a hard one to gauge, because Home Part 2 on its own, I would argue Home Part 2 is a peak episode. It is incredible finale to the end of Earthspark 1B, where we have all the Terrans battling Mandroid in the Bot Brawl arena, the huge fire arena, where Twitch tries to do a Talk No Jutsu on Mandroid, try to convince him to change his ways, but Mandroid just slowly going into insanity, having just cut off Brawl's arm to replace his other arm. Oh, it's so good. And then all the Terrans fighting hashtag when she's controlled by Mandroid is really good. But part 1, though, I have a lot of problems with it, where I feel like as good as the opening fight is with Bumblebee battling Brawl, it just feels like it doesn't belong as a start of this episode, because all the Malto children just winding up in Philadelphia out of nowhere just feels very forced in my opinion. And I'm not too keen on the opening bit of of Mo, Thrash, and Jawbreaker sort of being lured into the Bot Brawl. I wish they just found the Bot Brawl on their own and then just cut to Jawbreaker being forced to fight Bumblebee in that. But also, the whole side plots with Robbie, Twitch, and hashtag, and Stevie seeing the racist graffiti towards Transformers, and then the other side story with Nightshade saving Sam from the mugger, and then learning what it means to be non-binary, those are both really good scenes. So if we were just focused on Home Part 1, I'd probably put that in the alright category, but with Home Part 2 being peak, I think I'm going to put Home altogether in either the fun times or the really good category. It's hard to say, because I really like Home Part 2 more than Age of Evolution Part 2, but I like Age of Evolution Part 1 more than Home Part 1. I think I'm gonna put, I think I'm gonna put Home Part 1 and 2 in the Fun Times category for now, just because I'm not the biggest fan of Home Part 1 outside of the Robbie and Stevie scenes and the Nightshade and Sam scenes, but maybe we'll swap it back up to really good category. But anyway, now we are at the final batch of Earthspark Season 1 with 1C, starting with episode 19, A Stygie Situation. This is a really good episode for Jawbreaker, because he finally gets his alt mode, and he gets a lot of good scenes with Mo, about how even when he finally gets his alt mode, he doesn't feel like he's got to get the same treatment as the rest of his family, where he feels like he's on the sidelines because he's not prepared enough for a fight like the rest of his siblings are. But it's also a really good episode because Grimlock gets a lot of stuff to do in this episode. It's cool to see him try to get over his PTSD of being controlled by Mandroid. However, at the same time, though, it feels kind of odd of how Alita treats Jawbreaker in this episode, and the fact that she was so gung-ho in outtakes of telling Jawbreaker, hey, you'll find your ult mode when it's time, and when it does, you should be proud of who you are and all that. But what the second Jawbreaker gets his ult mode in this episode, and after he accidentally causes Grimlock to go on a berserk rage across Witwicky, what does Alita do? She basically just goes, oh, Jawbreaker, you stay here because your ult mode's gonna get us in trouble. Like, what the hell, Alita? Like, you were literally just telling him how good it's gonna be when he gets his ult mode, and now you're basically shunning him, or making him feel like an outcast because of his ult mode. That brings that episode down a lot for me, in my opinion. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to put it in the all rights or fun times category, because I really like a lot of this episode, but just Alita's treatment towards Jawbreaker, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think I'm going to put it in the fun times category, just because of that, I think. Anyway, after that, we're going to move on to episode 20, Disarmed. So this is the episode where Robbie gets his Cyber Shield ability, and then he and the rest of the Terran children battle the Megatron hologram controlled by Mandroid. This is a good episode in terms of building Robbie's character. We also get to learn Optimus's backstory as Orion Pax, and how he was a worker bot in this continuity, unlike being an archivist or file clerk like in Cyberverse or the Alliance continuity. Also, shout out to Transformers 1, who has that Orion Pack is also going to be a worker bot, like a dock worker. So, it's good for giving us more backstory on Optimus. But also, just like Friends and Family, I think it's a nothing burger episode. It's not a bad episode, it's just kind of a boring one, in my opinion. So, because of that, I'm not sure to put it in the has good moments category or the all rights category. I don't know, because... you know, because even though Classified had a harmful message, I did enjoy it more than Disarmed. I think I'm going to put Disarmed in the has good moments category, just because it's not a bad episode, it's just a boring episode in my opinion. But after that, episode 21 with Joel's Within, peak. Absolutely peak. A fantastic episode, my second favorite episode in Earthspark, or tied with my first alongside Security Protocols. Hashtag and Starscream make this episode. The way they act together and how Starscream is treated in a sympathetic light with hashtag recognizing his abuse at the hand of Megatron, it's such a great character building moment for this Starscream. And Steve Blum does a fantastic job as Starscream in this episode as well. How he goes back to save hashtag from the Dweller, nearly sacrificing himself, and wanting the Dweller to eat him before hashtag gets powered up from the cave water, basically suplexes the Dweller into the cave water. And then the ending bit where Starscream rejects Megatron's apology. Oh, it's such a good episode. Absolutely peak. Nothing wrong with it. Great job with that one, Earthspark team. After that, though, we move on to episode 22, Primetime. Now, I bet for a lot of people, this is going to be their least favorite episode of Earthspark. But honestly, I had a really good time with this episode. I think Mo's little vision quest, showing how bad things could have been if she never touched the Emberstone, is a really good message to send about how, when you feel like that something shouldn't have happened, it's better just not to focus on that, but instead focus on all the good that's happened because of this, what's happened to you. And it's just a really fun time. Seeing Mo battle Mandroid as well was really good, and it was just a really good episode. I'm tempted to put in the fun times category, but also maybe the alright category, just because, again, also not a lot happens this episode. But yeah, we put a lot in the fun times category, so I think I'm going to put it in the all rights category. Maybe I'll move Bare Necessities down there as well, but I do also like that episode, though. I think I'm going to actually move hashtag oops down to the all rights category, but definitely Primetime's going to stay in the all right category as well. After that, though, stowaways. I'm going to say flat out, this is probably my least favorite episode of Earthspark. I was not really a fan of this one, just because I do not like the twist of Slaughter being a Bumblebee fanboy. I think it just came out of nowhere. Bumblebee deciding to use a smart trainer to go through the lasers, like, was a good plan. But the fact that the smart trainer's like, oh, you should try this yourself. Like, but Bumblebee, how are you supposed to get through these lasers yourself? You have to use a smart trainer to get through this. And it makes Bumblebee come across as lazy when he clearly isn't. The only good part of this episode, in my opinion, was just Twitch and Thrash and everyone else battling Croft at the end. Just the whole bit with the Terran sneaking, like, staking out Bumblebee and watching him go on his mission. It wasn't good, in my opinion. So, I think I'm going to give, for the first time, this is going to go in a not very good category. I am not a fan of this episode, and it's the one episode I just wasn't a fan of with Earthspark. But after that, though, we move to episode 24, The Battle of Witwicky. This episode also is peak. This is a great finale episode for Ghost, essentially. To have Croft stage a full-on assault on the Molto homestead and have all the Terrans and Autobots come together to help defend them against Croft and Ghost. It's so good. Dot and Croft's battle in this episode is so good in like the kitchen with Croft using one of the frying pans as like a shield, and then Dot like slamming the fridge door in Croft's face. It is so good. I absolutely love this episode. Absolutely fantastic. And then that leads us to the final episode of Earthspark Season 1, episodes 25 and 26, Last Hope, parts 1 and 2. I didn't mean to put this in the not very good categories, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in peak because this is a fantastic finale to Transformers Earthspark. The final battle against Mandroid and how dark this episode is compared to everything else, with him killing Croft, planning to wipe out all Transformers on Earth with the Space Bridge weapon. It's so good, especially having all the Terrans battle the possessed Optimus and Alita. The incredible soundtrack of after Mandroid kills everyone and Twitch is cradling Thrash's dead body, and then the big scene of Robbie and Mo reviving everyone with the Space Bridge. It's so good, and honestly serves as a great finale to Earthspark Season 1. I cannot wait to see what is to come with Earthspark Season 2. And so, here we go. This is my official tier list on Transformers Earthspark Season 1's episodes, with my least favorite stuff being Stowaways, and my favorites being Outtakes, Security Protocols, which was within the Dal Witwicky, and Last Hope. Thank you all so much for watching this little tier list video of Transformers Earthspark Season 1. This is my first time ever doing a tier list, and I hope to, if you guys like it, I would love to do more tier lists for you. Maybe doing stuff like ranking the Terrans' protoform designs, or ranking just each of the Terrans in general, or legacy characters, anything. So if you guys want to see me do more tier list videos like this, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I will see you guys later.